Hello. Let me see. Lynn, good morning. Almost time for us to plant again, Lynn, right? I might be a little later this year because I'm going to leave the country. So I may start late. I'm not sure what the actual time is to start. I feel like I started late last year too. I feel like I planted last year, April 1st. Does that sound right? I mean, it's so hard to think about that because right now it's kind of chilly and not at all garden time. So, anyway, I just think of gardens, of course. Hello, Lynn. Nice to have you here. Um, it's always weird for me because I don't know who's out there, right? So, Steve may be there. Nancy, good morning. Nice to have you here. Hi, Raina. Good morning. Not morning for you, though, Raina, is it? Aren't you? Or maybe you're 11 o'clock. I think you're 2 hours ahead. Stevie, good morning. Nice to have you all here. If you'd like to share anything with me, please do so. I definitely do not get as many of you during this anyway, sharing your ills. Whereas in the beginning, 2 years ago when this whole shebang started, there was much more sharing of all the ills. But I have to wonder if part of that is because it's been a long time, right? It's been almost 2 years of this life, living this life this way. And that's, there's a lot to it, right? It's multifaceted, multi-layered. Pat, hi, Pat, how are you? Yes, snow, wow. Well, I know there's a lot going on right now. I don't know. I know some of you know this, but I do not watch news. I do not watch news at all. And, because it'll wreck my peace. And I feel like I watch everyone else suffer. And, I always hear people say, but I need to know what's going on. And I say, really? Why? How is that working for you? What is it doing for you? What do you get to do then with that information you have? And we have to be able to digest what we bring in. And so I just see it having such an ill effect on so many people over the years. So anyway, I did not know that there was a big storm right now in the middle of the country. And then, but I always learn what I need to learn because then, in conversation, it'll come up. And I think my daughter, my husband said to me, you don't know about the big storm? Oh, it's another, like a nor'easter or something. And then I got to see the graph of where everything is. So I realized, Raina, that things are kind of not great right now with weather for a lot of people. Hopefully it is okay where you are. Stevie, that is so weird. You just asked that question. Do I notice the birds singing more? Oh my God, totally 100%. I hear them. And I don't know if before 2020, I really paid much attention to birds. And then part of it is it because I'm getting older? I wonder about that, because I always think about people going on bird watching. And I used to think, what? Who would want to go watch birds? Well, I do. And I love it. And I sit in the backyard and I feel like you guys might think I'm crazy, but I actually am like Mrs. Doolittle. And I try to be in the same frequency as the birds. I try to say like little things to them or whatever. It's crazy, not crazy, because really that's where happiness and contentment and peace is. When we can be buzzing along, like when our body and energetic body can harmonize and not be stimulated with what we're watching, bringing in, through our senses. It's really important for stress management. And there is not enough attention paid to this, honestly, because it really is the basis of all of the illness is our stress and what we bring into our bodies and our minds. But yes, Stevie, I 100% notice the birds, so I'm going to be one of those bird watching people. I don't know if I'll wear the khakis and the hat and the binoculars, but maybe I will. You never say never. Yeah, you're 2 hours ahead, Raina. Stan, always happy to see you. Kathy, good morning. Wow, some of my regulars. These are my regular Wednesday people. Wow. Well, hopefully in a couple of months we'll be in the flesh and hopefully, well, I don't know, flesh and Zoom. Carolyn, good morning. Okay. Yeah, Raina. Well, here I'm in Los Angeles, so we can start planning a little earlier than you. Michael, good morning. Yes. Oh, Lynn, I think that birds visit me too. It's like I have a relationship with them. And it's the reason why I think it's weird, Stevie, you asked that. I just, before, when I was getting ready for class today, I actually thought of something, and the birds, I thought of birds, and I actually asked myself, what is the lifespan of a bird? So that's weird as you're saying that, Stevie. But I wanted to know what the lifespan of a bird is. Like, I don't know. So anyway, all right, Patty, good morning. Nice to have you here. Yeah, Raina, we've noticed a lot more birds. So then that brings the question, have we slowed down, right? I think that's what's happened. I think that this has been such a slowing down of all of us. And when we go from human doing, which is what we do all the time, when we go from human doing to human being, that's where you find, that like peaceful contentment place. That's really where you find that, is in the human being place. So, all right, I'm going to go back there. Anyone else that's here that hasn't been here before? Hi, I'm Debbie. Just wanted to chit chat with everyone. All right. So, yeah. So that's a nice thing to do, is to think about, they always say that happiness and calming our mind can happen when we're in nature. So then bringing in the animal part of that, bringing in, like we go out in nature and look and be with a tree, or look at plants, or look at the sunset, or look at the vastness of a mountain. And then also, what about the living creatures, and watch them and what they do, and how that's what they do. That's their, like a bee, like that, they have a purpose. They have something they're here to do, especially like honeybees, and they do what they're here to do. I've actually had a lot of praying mantises in my yard these last few years. And I wonder if I always had praying mantises in my yard, or am I noticing that they're there? I don't know. But I have been told that if they come to your yard, that's a good sign. So maybe. And I'm always so intrigued that I think the female bites off the head of the male after they mate. So I always think like they're the goddesses of the insect world, killing the men. All right, maybe that's a little dark. Okay, so for today's practice, wellness, this is a fun class for me, because I feel like I could think of something like what sounds great for us today. And so for today's practice, what I have planned for us is functional movement. I want us to explore what is our range of motion in our joints. And so we're going to do some different practices today, different postures that are going to explore that for you, so that you actually see that there's a range from 0, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to sit here and just watch, to I'm going to do the entire practice and everything that she's showing us. There's that whole range, right? So we're going to explore, we're going to see, we're going to notice, and we're also going to notice where maybe there's some stickiness, where there's some cobwebs, because really that's what happens. The body lays down cobwebs. The minerals leave our bones. Calcium's nature's Band-Aid. Calcium leads to the tissues, and it lays down cobwebs. They're called adhesions, but they really look fibrous like cobwebs. And I wonder if spiders' webs are made out of calcium, or some of the same minerals as our body produces. Hopefully I'll remember that to go look it up. So the cobwebs come into the body, and that's what creates that stickiness, that bumpiness when you're moving. Like we're going to do a little bit of stuff with shoulder joint mobility or legs, and you're going to notice, is there a wavering or shakiness, or am I able to really get this beautiful fluid movement? And then am I able to get it once I do it for a little bit? So we're going to explore functional movement today, which is really important to keep us happy and healthy forever, like as we age. So as we leave our 30s and 40s, if you're in that category. And if you're not, then use the slow practice to ground the mental energy, because that's another aspect of what happens as well. For today's practice, I'd like you to have a block and a strap and a blanket, and put those off to the side. And then I would also like to elevate the pelvis. So we're going to begin with an inversion. And an inversion actually quickly brings the volume of blood up to the heart and the neck. So it brings it to the heart and to the brain, which is what the body's trying to really fuel. And it actually stimulates the relaxation zone. So it's a way to kind of turn on the switch of relaxation. So for this, I'm going to use a bolster because I have one. You could actually use a folded up blanket if you didn't have a bolster. Fold it up any length that you want. And then you're also probably going to need another blanket for your head, or maybe not. So we're going to see what happens when we go down. The only people that should not do this inversion are people with unmanaged high blood pressure. If you have high blood pressure that's managed with a medication, it's okay. But if you have unmanaged blood pressure, don't elevate your pelvis. And hopefully those that are in that category would actually know that. All right, we're going to come to the side. We're going to take our hand. You're going to reach. We're going to try this because this is a safe way to get down. It's also going to use the shoulder joint to lower down like this. And if you have osteoporosis, it's going to keep the pressure off the front of your spine. So let's come down. And not everybody knows they have osteoporosis. I just met with a woman that I think had her first scan at 60, her first DEXA scan. And she didn't even know she had osteoporosis. She wishes she would have had baseline mammograms at an earlier age. Baseline DEXA scan readings at an earlier age. So you're going to come into this position and the bolster is going to come underneath your pelvis, not the low back. It's under the pelvis. So you're going to walk your feet closer and then lift your tushy up and slide your bolster up. I find that it's better to have something soft. For me, it just feels better to have something soft. And it's underneath the pelvis and not underneath the low back. And whatever length is good for you. And then it is the pelvis that's there. And then notice, how does the head and neck feel? So for some of you, maybe having nothing under your head or having a very little small fold of a blanket would be good. And that's going to depend on where you are posturally in your thoracic spine, your upper spine. And then dig your arms into the side, lift your ribs away from the floor and slide your shoulder blades that are up at the back of your body. Slide them towards the spine so you will not let your chest cave in. And then the hands can go down alongside your body. They could come up on your belly. The feet, walk the feet a little bit wider than your body and then allow them to fall in towards each other. And then closing the eyes. So bring your awareness to the back of your body. The weight of the upper body should be resting on the upper back area, right at the top part of the upper back. And then lift your head up just a little, tucking your chin down towards your chest to lengthen the back neck. No weight or pressure in the back neck or head area. And then take your jaw, wiggle your jaw back and forth. Maybe open and close your mouth a couple of times. Closing your eyes. Just check the range of motion of your jaw as you open and close. Is there tension? Is it smooth? Does it pop? And then allow your lips to touch. Breathing in and out through the nose. Eyes are closed. Notice what you notice here. Bring your awareness to your heart. See if you can feel your heart beating. And don't try to do anything to your breath. Just allow this posture, this shape you've put yourself in, to do its magic.
And see if you can notice the lub-dub, 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 lub-dub of your heart. Notice where your mind goes. Let's do a gentle breath called the breath of peace. In Sanskrit, it's called Sukha Pranayama. So I'd like to do a count of 5. 5 on the inhale and 5 on the exhale. An even paced breath. And I'll count for you and count along with me. And then when you do it yourself, counting to keep your mind busy with counting so you can stimulate more parasympathetic nervous system aspects in your body. So let's prepare. Mouth is closed, breathing in and out through the nose. Take a big exhale. Let's begin. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue on your own, counting to yourself. Stay with your breath. Counting your breath, feeling your body move, noticing your heart. finishing the breath you're on. 3 more rounds of breath. Letting the breath go. Keep your mouth closed. Breathe in and out through your nose. If you'd like to deepen this inversion, you can walk your feet closer to your body, lift one knee up at a time, either stay there in that position or unbend your knees, let your feet go up towards the sky. And with the eyes closed, feel the appropriate place for your back. Because when the legs lift up, you shorten the psoas muscle, which is attached to your lumbar spine. So make sure your legs are in the appropriate place for your back. And if you close your eyes, you could go there with a sense of feeling. Maybe you need to bring your legs a little closer to your body so your back won't feel so tense. Or maybe it's okay to have your legs right above your pelvis. Press your pelvis into the bolster or blanket, and then push your heart up towards the sky so you're not caving in the upper chest. If your legs are in the air, inhale to point, exhale to flex. Inhale, point, exhale, flex. Inhale, exhale. And then let your feet go around in circles in one direction and circles in the other. And then let's bend the knees, bringing the feet onto the ground, letting everything settle. With the eyes closed, you could feel the places in your body that tense up. You can even feel the blood leaving your feet as you feel a little bit of coldness coming in. Then when you put your feet back down, the blood flow can go back into the feet. So when we put ourselves in positions where we go against gravity, here supporting the pelvis on the bolster or blanket, elevating the legs, the fluids in the body can come up to where the heart and the neck. And right on the aortic arch above the heart and in the carotid arteries of the neck are little baroreceptors that actually perceive the increased volume of fluids and slow the heart rate. So for heart health, inverted positions like this can be really therapeutic and healthy. Helps to calm the mind, calm the body, calm the heart. Also, being elevated like this stretches the lower back. So the lower back muscles are getting stretched. So a lot of great things about the supported bridge posture. Walk your feet a little closer to your body. Put your feet in the floor, pressing, and lift yourself up to take the bolster out to the side, and then slowly let your body go back down onto the ground. Then if you'd like to come into a fully extended position here, you could take your legs long, take your arms long, stretch your body glove. If you're in this position, try to pull the lower ribs away from the pelvis, really stretch the belly. And then go ahead and bend your knees. Let's draw one knee in at a time. Holding on to your knees, let your legs go back and forth side to side. So one thing I'd like to say about that relaxation response and the complete value it is for your health. It's so important for us to take time out of our lives, time out of our day, to stimulate the relaxation, healing, repairing zone. And especially if you have issues that you're managing, you want to make sure that you stimulate healing and repair throughout your day. And the only way the body is going to do that is if it's in the zone where it feels safe to do so. So there are positions to put your body in. There are tools to manage mental activity. Counting is one of them. The breath we just did was called Sukha Pranayama, or breath of peace. I chose 5 and 5. You could do that for 6 and 6 or 4 and 4. The thing is it's really good to challenge yourself and to start strengthening your breath and ability to breathe slowly by adding different numbers, moving up to 6 and 7 and 8 and whatever you can. So let's go ahead and put our feet on the floor. So folding the blanket back to the desired place for you. And if you are someone with low back issues or with tightness in the hips or the legs, I recommend that you double the blanket fold, elevate your head a little bit more, because if you take this part of your spine out of it, we could really focus on the lower part of the spine and the pelvis and the legs. And because one of the muscles that bends the hip, one of the hip flexors, is called the psoas. It's your loin. It's attached to the inner leg bone and to all 5 low back vertebrae. So there's a relationship here in the hip to the low back. So it's important that we know that, and let's start to soften that and move that around, move that. So let's take one leg in, doesn't matter which one, hold your leg in, bending and unbending the leg, warming at the joint. I'd like you to notice the function of your knee joint here. So does your leg go straight up and down, or does it kind of go cattywampus and wiggle off to the side? And then the next thing I want you to notice, because this will give us some function of the knee, and this is important because for those of you with knee issues, it often starts on the outer side because of the tightness in the body, the pelvic position, the hip joint, and then that translates to the knee, which goes down to the ankle, which goes down to the foot, because everything is connected. So take your hand behind your thigh, and now I want you to look at your foot without doing anything to your foot. Does the sole of your foot go up towards the sky? Are you able to unbend your knee all the way? Does your foot go off to the side when it comes in? Does your pinky toe edge go up to the ceiling or the sky more than the arch does? So is your foot bent when it comes up? And just notice what you notice. And then bring your leg all the way up. Hold on behind your thigh. Clasp your hands, hold on. You could bring your leg in a lot. You could bend your knee, whatever feels appropriate for you. And then point and flex. This is ankle joint range of motion. And then you need the fluidity, you need no cobwebs, and you need limber lower leg muscles to have nice foot range of motion. So point your foot and flex. Point and flex. What's happening here? Do you feel the tightness in the calf, tightness in the shin? Come into the flex position strongly. Pull the toes towards you. You feel that calf stretch? If you unbend your knee, you'll go deeper with that calf stretch. And notice if you feel that all the way down to your tushy cheeks as that whole posterior chain lengthens. Now notice your foot. This is hip joint range of motion. Is your foot out to the side? Are the toes pointing in, or are the toes pointing straight back? Just getting a really good snapshot of you and the function of your joints, where you may have cobwebs in your tissues, adhesions. And then take your foot and go around slowly. Notice if you feel clanking and clinging of your joints. Notice if you hear any snap, crackle, or pops. Go in the other direction. And then let's take that leg across the body, or hold on to your leg and take a hold of your toes. And maybe for some of you that's hard to do. If it is, if the head was lifted up, it would be a little bit easier. So if you did support your head a little bit more, or even lift your head up, you'll notice that it takes out tension in other parts of the body. Take your toes, you're bending them. And then go ahead, take that foot onto the ground. I want you to close your eyes and bring your awareness to the leg you just moved, all the way down to your feet. Notice your toes, your foot, your ankle, your leg. Notice if you feel tingling. And then bring your awareness over to the other leg that you did not do all of that with, and notice how that leg feels. There may be, for me there is, much more energy sensation in the leg I just did, especially down to my feet. And the other leg feels stagnant, not buzzing and humming along with a lot of energy. Let's go to the other leg. Draw the leg in, holding on behind. We're going to unbend and bend. So don't do anything to your foot. Just let your knee bend and unbend. Let everything else be like a floppy fish, I like to say. Let your foot be like a floppy fish where you're not doing anything to it. And I want you to notice your knee and notice the lower leg, how the lower leg moves. Notice what happens to the foot. Does the foot, are the toes pointing up to the sky? Does the sole of the foot point up towards the sky? Is it a smooth movement? Yes, you're probably feeling some heat in your quadriceps, working our quadriceps. But I want you to really pay attention here to the knee. And for those that have knee issues, this is a great way to keep lubrication in your knees, because for most people with knee issues, being on the ground like this without any gravitational force on the knee, they're able to do this. Now let's see if you could start to put the foot up towards the sky. A little flexion in the foot. Noticing here, where do the toes point? What part of the foot goes up towards the sky? Is it the pinky toe edge? Just the top part with the toes? The arch? The outer edge of the heel? The inner edge of the heel? Notice if you feel or notice anything else in the rest of your body. So whether this is related or not, I felt a release in my ear on the side of my leg that I'm moving. Is that a coinky dink? I don't know. Let's take the leg up towards the sky. We're going to now the ankle joint. You're going to point and flex. Point and flex. And notice your foot here. Would you say that there's nice alignment in your foot? Is it going up to the ceiling in a nice aligned position? And then bring your foot to a flexed position. Maybe you unbend the leg. So feeling that behind your calf. And if you unbend your knee, you're going to feel a much stronger sensation. And then go ahead and release. Let's take the foot. Now we're doing the ankle joint. Go slowly here. Notice what you notice. Maybe some joint movement, like clanging or popping. In a group class, often I hear a lot of pops, a lot of sounds. This is when the yoga orchestra in a group class happens. And then let's bend our knee, bring your leg across, hold on to your toes, and bend your toes. Looking up, you may be able to get a little closer if you're having trouble there, getting close. And then go ahead and bring yourself back. I'm going to take my bolster off. All right, so let's do hip joint. That was knees, ankles, feet, toes. Let's come up to the next joint here, which is the hips. So have your blanket behind your head. A lot if you need it, a little if you need less. And then bring your arms out to the side. So bringing your arms out to the side here, you either could be straight or bent, and you'll see that you're going to notice some stretching happening here. So keep your feet a little, just about body distance, a little bit wider. And you're going to let the knees go side to side. The feet are on the floor. The knees are going side to side. And keep your tushy on the ground at first. So the tushy stays on the ground. You're only in your hip joint. The ankles are doing a little bit here too. So the side of your body, the outer hip, the ankle, and the whole hip is moving here. Soles of the feet are on the ground. See if you could go a little bit bigger, keeping the soles on the floor, keeping the sacrum, which is the base of your spine. So the tushy cheeks stay on the ground and the base of the spine stays on the ground. Hip joint mobility. Closing your eyes, go to your hips. What do you notice? Same on both sides. Bring yourself back up to center. Take your feet a little wider so that the heels are on the mat, toes are off. Keep your tushy on the ground, keep your sacrum on the ground, which is your spine. And let your legs go side to side. You could let the soles of the feet come off the ground. They won't go very far if you don't let your pelvis tilt. So keep your sacrum on the ground. Keep your spine in a neutral position. So this is truly hip joint range of motion. Side to side. Close your eyes. Feel where you're tight. Feel where you're loose. Now keep your eyes closed. Now you can actually go a little farther with your legs so that you do let the sacrum come away from the ground. One tushy cheek may come away from the ground. Go slow. Feel the stretch where it comes into your body. Is it in the back of your body or the front or the side? And if it's in the back uncomfortably, push your belly button towards your spine to protect that low back. And then bring yourself back up. We are stretching our psoas, which is attached to the lumbar spine. So make sure that's appropriate for your body. We go to the other side. The tushy cheek comes up off the ground. You're rocking off the sacrum. You feel the stretch in your body. I feel it mostly in the front of my body. You inhale to come to the side. You exhale to go to the back. So now we're actually in the lumbar spine. And we're bringing some forces, rotational forces to the lumbar spine. And the lumbar spine actually doesn't have joints to rotate. So it needs to receive that pressure appropriately. If it's a lot, it will give some stimulation to the bones of the lower back, which is a good thing. But if it's too much, it may pull on the muscles that are always in a protective place for you. For those of you with chronic low back issues, or spines that don't like to be moved too much, more flatter spines, more stabilizing spine. So just know who you are. Also, the pelvis is moving here, so it's moving at the top, which is the lumbar spine, bottom, which is the hips. And then the SI joint, which is in the sacrum, attaching the sacrum. Many people are fused after the age of 50-ish, but some still have some movement in their synovial joint, but the SI joint. So just eyes are closed. Notice what's appropriate. You're being your own detective here. You can start to go a little farther, actually letting even more of your back and your upper shoulder blade come off the ground. But make sure you're in your low back and in your back to feel if that rotational force is appropriate. I'm going to tell you, I think this is a little intense. I feel it all the way up my spine. For those of you with low back issues, I would say to be careful. And if you close your eyes, hopefully your body will be your guide on what's safe and what's not. And then bring yourself back to neutral. Maybe you slid away from your blanket. Bring yourself back if you did. Bring your knees to a bent position, bring your knees closer to your body, wider than your body, and let your knees fall in towards each other. Let's bring that rotation up to the neck and notice what you notice here with your range of motion. Side to side. Noticing crunchiness, stickiness, sounds, side to side. And then bring yourself back to center. Let's walk the feet into the chest for a second. Bring your knees in. So when we have our knees here, quite often that's very therapeutic for the low back. Make sure that is you. Majority of the people, I would say, get relief here, but not all. Rocking side to side. Let's come into a happy baby. So this is joint range of motion of the hip and of the knee. And let's unbend the knee joint, make this mostly hip. Try to bring your top thighs as close as you can get them to your torso. And then draw the knees towards your body. Feel the leg bones pressing into the lower abdominal area. Feel the low back being pressed into the ground a lot. And then rock side to side. Hopefully bringing a little relief. And then let's bring you back to neutral. So let's do a little here. Let's do a little here for the core and for the spine and to work on the stabilizing aspects of the body. So let's take the block. Let's bring the block between the knees. Let's take the hands behind the head. Elbows are out to the side. Cradle your head in your hands. Push the elbows into the ground. That will fire up or turn on the back body. Squeeze the block. Your feet are block distance. Squeezing the block from here with the arms pressing into the ground and squeezing the block. Inhale. As you exhale, push your low back towards the ground with all of that contraction of squeezing the block and pressing the arms into the ground. Inhale, let the low back lift away. Exhale, contract. You're tilting your pelvis backwards. You're trying to flatten the lower spine. You're squeezing the block, squeezing the arms into the ground. One more. Inhale. And on this next exhale, do the lower body, squeezing the block, flattening the low back, and lift the upper body off. Inhale to lower. Exhale, flatten the low back. Inhale to lower. Exhale. Inhale. One more, come up and stay up. For those of you that want to release the low back and come to a neutral pelvis, you could let the low back come off, pressing the sacrum into the ground, contracting your core, supporting your torso, hugging your lumbar spine with your belly to protect your low back. And then inhale to lower. Let's take the block out, get your strap, and you're either going to loop your strap if you have a loop, or you're going to take your strap and you're going to tie it. So we're going to bring our legs through the strap. Legs are through the strap, and bring the strap to the top part of your thighs. And so when you push your legs apart, bring your legs up in the air, tie the strap if you can, if you need to, or loop it if you have that ability. And then come here so your legs are in the air and pressing out on the strap, really strong press out on the strap, feel the side. Now, for some of you, you may need to have your knees bent and push out on the strap because your legs cannot go right above your pelvis, especially with straight knees. So do whatever you can. You want to protect your low back, so push your low back towards the ground when you do this. Contract your core, pushing out on the legs, flatten your feet up towards the sky. Pretty strong structural contraction here. Look at your feet. Make sure your toes are pointing backwards. Edges of the pinky toe edges are on the side. Soles of the feet would touch the ceiling or at one point. So it's not just the toes that would touch first, not just the heels. Take one more breath and then go ahead and release. Bring yourself down. Nice stabilizers of the hip joint. Let's take our block here. Now this movement that I'm going to do, if you have osteoporosis, let me just show you for a second. So we're going to lift up and bring ourselves up with the block, okay, in 3 different planes. We're going to go to the outside of legs, we're going to come up. But I want to say if you have osteoporosis, that rounding your upper spine here is counterindicated. So if you have osteoporosis, I'm going to say that you could lift up towards the sky and then over towards the sides so that you're not up towards the sky. So your head is lifting off and your upper torso is lifting off, but you are not rounding your spine. For those that do not have osteoporosis, coming into that flexion is okay. All right. So you're either going straight up if you have osteoporosis and then out to the side and straight up and out to the side, or you're coming all the way down. Lock is between your hands. Strap is between your legs. Push on the strap to activate your core. Your core, think about having a big juicy orange in your navel, and you're going to squeeze the heck out of your orange. So try that right now. Lift up, down, and in from the sides to squeeze the heck out of your orange. Feel that nice core stabilization, and then release. Inhale. Exhale. Squeeze your orange. Lift yourself up either straight between your legs or towards your legs if you don't have osteo, or straight up if you have osteo, and then lower down on the inhale. Exhale to rise, out to the side with osteo, out to the side if you don't have osteo, and then back down. Back to the middle, and to the sides. Pushing out on the strap, you might feel your hips, the outer hips right now, getting a little warm. You're either coming up with osteo or going to your legs. You're coming up with osteo to the side, and back and down. Up to the side, back and down. Choose what's appropriate for you and your body. Pushing out of the strap, contracting your core. Always going through center. One more to each direction. And then finishing. Bring yourself all the way down. Take your block to the side. Keep your strap there. Walk your feet closer. Draw your knees into your chest. So I definitely feel a lot of heat in the posterior hip capsule, right here, the outer hip joint. Maybe you feel that as well. Holding on behind your legs. So I'd like to do a little bridge pose, and that's going to strengthen the back of the body. So we're going to be pushing away from the ground. We're going to strengthen our hamstrings, our glutes, and our back. So we're going to use the upper arms, whether the elbows are bent or the arms are straight. When we lift ourselves up, we're going to push our feet strongly into the ground and our arms so that we get a lot of stimulation in the back of the body, pushing away from the ground. So you're going to take your blanket away from your head, and this is functionally moving the joints of the spine, and then we're going to strengthen them. So we're going to do 5 movements of coming up and going back down, and then we're going to come up and hold for 5 breaths. So you may come down a little bit before me. 5 and then 5. Tuck the chin towards the chest. Take the arms either alongside the body with the elbows bent or all the way flat, and lift your upper back off the ground. Slide the shoulder blades closer to the spine so you get more narrow across your chest. Walk your feet closer to your body. Strap is on your legs. Push out on the strap and then allow the low back to press towards the floor. This is going to be where we begin. Take an exhale. Inhale. Peel your spine away from the ground. Eyes are closed. Feel it lifting, lifting, lifting. You're going to get a little higher with the strap there, so no blanket behind your head. Exhale. Feel yourself putting your spine down on the ground, one vertebra at a time, all the way to your tailbone. To begin the exhale, flatten the low back first. Push away from the ground. Lift your body up. Really undulate your spine here. Five with a movement. That's 3. On this 5th one, we're going to stay up and hold for 5 breaths. Make sure that the weight is in the upper back, not in your head and neck. And when you finish the 5th breath, you're going to come down really slow, one vertebra at a time. Coming all the way down. Bring your blanket back behind your head. Take your strap off to the side. Knees are into the chest. And then roll onto your side. Take your hand in the ground, leading with your shoulder, not your head. You're going to push yourself to come up. Bring yourself all the way up. So get your blanket. Bring your blanket onto the mats. And then come to see about knee function, knee joint function, can you sit back onto your heels? And then to see about feet, can you pop up, flip your toes under, and sit on your heels? So either one, if you can actually do this from one to the other, so this is a little movement to notice the function of your knees. For some of you, I know that this is impossible, and don't push it if you don't have this ability in your knees. But if you're able to still have this flexion and extension in your knees, and you can do this and actually add the feet turning under, noticing what you're noticing along the way. And then bring yourself to neutral. Either up here if your knees don't like to bend, or down here if they're okay bending. But actually come up for a second. If you are going to come down, notice how you go down. Notice how your hips bend. Notice how your knees bend. And notice if it's fluid. So when I did that right now, I noticed that I favored my right side when I was going down. That's my natural hip. This is my hip replacement. So just being very conscious of where's the function in your body. If you go slow, it's a lot harder, but it's also easier to notice. And then from there to work on maybe strengthening one side and lengthening the other, or vice versa. Come down, let's do a little shoulder joint testing to see what our shoulder joint's like. So take your hands on your shoulders here. You could unbend your elbows and then bend your elbows. This is your elbow joint. Don't quite often find issues with a lot of people's elbows. That's a hinge joint. And then bring your hands onto your shoulders. Let's inhale to let your arms go up. Feel your lower ribs pulling away from the pelvis here. Inhale. As you exhale, chin to chest. Elbows come down. Elbows come towards each other. Inhale, let your throat open. Let your elbows go up. Open up your throat. And if you can close your eyes once you get this movement, I'd like you to notice the shoulder blades at the back of the body when they glide along the ribs. If it's smooth, if you feel clinging and clanging in movement, you inhale. I want you to notice if you feel a stretch in the belly below the ribs when you go into an extension position. When your arms are open, your throat is open, your elbows are off to the side, and your body is supported in spinal extension. Does that feel good to you? And then one more. And then bring yourself back. So for people with shoulder issues, that is the entire shoulder unit. So even if your issues are here, tears, rotator cuff issues, pain in this area, that what we just did actually used the whole supportive shoulder joint as one, the shoulder blades. And it also lessened the lever of having the extra weight of the arm away from the body. So I find that to also be something that's manageable for many people, even if they do have shoulder issues. Let's take our strap. Another gauge for another way to test for shoulder mobility is this. And I also want you to pay attention to, if I do something and your body, you look at it and you're like, no way. That's your inner intelligence that knows that that's not appropriate movement for you. And really trust that, because that inner knowing, that inner intelligence knows what you should or shouldn't do. And I think that as we get older, we develop that sense even more of what we should or shouldn't do, or can or can't. And then if we have issues, or especially if we get a diagnosis, and for those that get the diagnosis of osteoporosis, it can make that framework of how you live feel so fragile and really limit how you show up in your life. So slowing down to see what is possible and safe in your body can help to expand what it is you do on a daily basis, and send signals to that inner knowing of you that knows that yes, I should, or no, I shouldn't. And that's what happened for me after my hip replacement, when I slowly got myself back to a really functional place, is going slow and developing that sense of yes, that's appropriate, or no, that's not. And I listened to that voice. So let's see if you could come up and over. This is shoulder joint. And you're either going to look at this and say, heck no, or you're going to go slow and explore. Is this okay? Is this okay? Be in your shoulders. Are you okay, shoulder? Are you okay, shoulder? Are you okay, shoulder? And if you go slow, you're going to maybe notice some spinal adjustments, some clinging and clanging of bones. Close your eyes, you'll notice even more. Notice, is it one side or both? Bring yourself up and back to a place where you feel a strong stretch in the armpit or the front of the shoulder or the chest. Like you're holding a sheet and the wind is blowing. Lift your heart. And then bring yourself back up. You're going to go side to side if you can. And if you bend the elbow of the arm that goes, bend the elbow of the arm in the air so that your torso doesn't move as much. And then bring yourself back to center. Take the strap off to the side. Let's lengthen our spine here. So we're going to come forward. So even if you have osteoporosis, it's the rounding of the front of the spine that you don't want to do right here. You don't want to round your spine. So the thoracic spine, you don't want to round that. But we want to lengthen our spine. So we're going to come into the puppy dog, which I feel is a very safe posture for me to teach. If you take your block, bring your block kind of close to you. You want to make sure that your hip joint here bends. As you take your arms straight and you place your forehead onto the block. And then maybe this is okay, or maybe you could actually move the block out of the way. Put the block, the head on the floor. Arms are straight.
And then maybe you'll notice a pretty strong stretch under the shoulders. Push your belly button to your spine. Tailbone is pointing backwards towards the wall. Really lengthen your spine here from crown of head to tailbone. And then take one more breath.
And then bring yourself up, leading with your head. Bring yourself all the way up.
I'd like to do a little bit of a range of motion in the hip joint. So let's bring one leg forward. This is my left leg. I don't know if it matters for you, but bring your foot forward. So it's pretty far forward, and go to the side a little bit if you're feeling a little bit wobbly here. So right now my hip joint is not moving, right? My hip joint's here and my knees here. These two joints, we're gonna bend them. So let's take your hands, if you do elbows out to the side and the hands, push down really strongly with your hands and lengthen your spine. That'll really help with the balance. Push the back foot into the floor, push the front foot into the floor. Take an exhale, and then inhale, bend the front knee, bend the hip of the front of the leg that's in front, and then exhale back up. Inhale, go slow. Keep your heart lifted, keep your throat lifted. Load into that front glute. Bending that hip, bending that knee. Ankle joint is also moving in this position as well. And the more forward your leg is, the harder this is. The slower you go, the harder it is. And you're going to feel a stretch on the back leg in that psoas. Come forward, stay here. Can you take the opposite arm forward on the outside of the leg and bring your hands together? Now, if you cannot do this, take your block, put your block on the floor, put one hand on the block, one hand here, lengthen your spine and turn your spine at the top part over the leg that's in the front, okay? So making sure you're not rounding your spine, you're not compromising the front of your spine here. Push the front of your spine towards your leg so that you're opening up the front of your spine. Really twist, twist, twist. Feel that opposite side twisting. And breathe to where you feel the deep twist. And smile. Take one more breath. And then you bring yourself forward and you bring yourself all the way up and all the way out. So you're going to bring your block there if you know that you need it, or you're going to take it off to the side if you know that you don't. And you're going to slowly, slowly bring your leg forward, your opposite leg, and bring it pretty far forward. So this back thigh is going to get a nice stretch. You're going to bend the front knee, the front hip. Take your hands on. Push down to get tall in your spine and to open the front of your spine, pushing your heart forward to do that. Exhale. Then inhale slowly. Slower is harder. It's a harder practice to go slow. Exhale to go back because you're forced to face some hurdles, some blocks, some tightness, some issues in your tissues. It's much harder to manage and to face all that. It's like facing the music. Inhale. Let your gaze be up, so look across the room a little high. That'll help give that lifted aspect to your spine. One more. You're going to come forward and stay forward. Push that front foot into the ground, push the back foot into the ground. And then if you can, you're going to take the arm across and come into that nice long spine in your lunge, or you're going to take the block and have the block there. So this is actually good prep work for being able to get up and down off the floor forever. And strengthening that front leg, you're strengthening the back of the body, the glute area. The back leg, you're lengthening the front of that hip joint. Then you're adding rotational force to the spine. So we're actually gaining a little bit of rotational force coming into your spine, which is going to strengthen the spinal bones. A lot of good things in this lunge.
Lengthen your spine, press your heart forward. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself back, bring yourself all the way up, bring yourself out. Maybe you feel some of the glute work going so slow and holding like that. There's a lot of glute work. Take your hands, shake, shake, shake. And then let's do a plank pose to end the physical tough part. Plank pose for a minute to really strengthen the front of your body. So you could come onto a dolphin if that feels better. Take one foot back first at a time to stretch the calf area. Flip your toes under, do a little bouncy bounce forward and back. Get that nice calf stretch. All 5 toes are touching, not just your big toe. And then do the same thing with the other. Press the toes, push back. And then keep that back foot on, lift the other foot up, come up for a minute. Spread your fingers and push all 10 fingers strongly into the ground. Push your heels back. All 5 toes on both feet. Feel how strong you are. And then go ahead and bring yourself down. Take your wrists, bend and straighten. Feel where there's tightness. Take your hand forward, bend the wrist under, stretch, and then up and stretch. The other hand, bend and stretch, and then up. Shake your wrists, come up here. So today was exploring function in the body or dysfunction, noticing cobwebs or stickiness. So only for informational purposes, only for you to work on what you need to work on. And let's take whatever came up today that could be negative or make you feel, oh, wow, I can't do this or I can't do that. Let's take some of that stuff and get rid of it. So we're going to do this release technique to get rid of mental aspects and actually biochemical aspects of stress. So we're going to say whoosh when we release. So let's take an exhale and then inhale, gather, hold tight, and exhale. Whoosh. Super long whoosh. Inhale, gather, hold, exhale. One more, inhale, hold, all right, time for Shavasana. So go ahead and get whatever you'd like to come back down onto the ground to let everything settle where it needs to settle and relax. So whatever it is you've decided to do, coming into your Shavasana, letting go, letting go, letting go.
If you do have the bolster left over from or near you, or blankets or pillows or whatever, put it underneath your knees if you'd like. And then allow everything to settle into your tissues, into your cells, into your soul. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Start to bring movement into your hands and your feet, your arms, your legs, drawing the knees into the chest and rocking side to side. Rocking onto your side, cradle your head in your hand, take your hand on the ground, bring yourself up leading with the shoulder. Let's end our practice with sound, a humming sound. Take your hands together, rub the hands together. Thumbs touch the sternum bone. Press the heart to the hands to the heart. Take a big exhale. Take a big inhale. Keep your lips together and make a humming sound. Ending with gratitude and recognition of each other. Namaste. So today's practice to notice what your joints are doing.
And from there, you can lengthen or strengthen them according to what they need. And all the movement of doing that diagnostic self-observation or self-assessment actually helps to clear the cobwebs and clear the stickiness. So really nice to move our body, move our joints, to keep them mobile and dancing forever. That is my goal, dancing joints forever. All right. So, anything to report? Any noticings that took place today for you? Oh, they do visit. Yeah, I love that the birds visit you. I'm looking at that. Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Good, good, good. And you know, those of you that I know that are here, like I visualize you during when I'm teaching. I visualize your body. I know those of you that can't do some of those things, and so I'm visualizing what you're doing. If you're not subscribed to my channel, down below here, it says subscribe. Please subscribe. If you like this video, thumbs up. If you don't, you could do thumbs down and then send me an email or whatever and tell me what it is you'd like to see more of or what you need. You're welcome, Carolyn. You're welcome, Nancy. So anyway, that's it for today. I'm off, and I'll see you tomorrow if you're coming for osteoporosis, yoga for osteoporosis, or Saturday for stress management, reduction, all of that. All right, Stevie, you're welcome. Patty. Yes, Patty, and I knew that. I thought, oh my God, Patty's gonna love this because it's gonna allow her to get up a little higher, to feel more range of motion in her spine and her hips. So you were 100% on my mind, and I'm like, Patty's gonna love this. So yes, and yes. Yeah, so you were in that. Like part of what I choose to share is also who's here and what do they need. And so definitely, Patty, you were a big part of that bridge today. Yeah, all right. Kathy, you're welcome. Raina, great. All right, anyone, time to carpe diem. Have a beautiful day until we meet again. I'll see you later. All right, bye.